The Atari 2600 video game system and its new exciting games at a new low price.
You draw here, and it comes out there.
Sony Walkman is a tiny stereo cassette player.
The 1980s were packed with bold ideas and exciting new products. From high-tech gadgets to strange food experiments, companies weren't afraid to take risks. Some of these inventions changed the world, but others, not so much. Some were too early, too expensive, or just didn't make sense. Whether it was a confusing computer, a weird frozen meal, or a game console that buried its own future, the decade had no shortage of innovation gone wrong. These are the inventions that aimed high but fell hard. Join us at 25 innovative products from the 1980s that failed miserably.
Introducing the world's first 6.5-pound all-in-one camera video recorder from Sony. No wires, no bulky recorder.
Back in 1983, Sony tried to shake things up with a bold idea. They released the Beta Movie Recorder. It was one of the first camcorders where the camera and recorder were in one body. No wires, no heavy setups, just point and shoot. Sounds cool, right? But here's the problem. It was recorded on Betamax tapes. That format looked great, but didn't last long. Most people went for the video home system because it lets you record longer. And unlike other camcorders, this one didn't even let you watch your video right after filming. You had to wait until you got home and played it on a Betamax player. Not fun. Also, the price was no joke. It cost a lot, and people weren't ready to pay that much. So, even with its fresh design, it lost the race to video home system. Sony had big dreams, but Betamovie just couldn't keep up.
Capacitance electronic disc, otherwise known as CED, was an early home video format developed by RCA.
The Radio Corporation of America had big hopes in 1981. They launched the Capacitance Electronic Disc, CED, a video disc system that looked like a record but played movies. It came in a plastic case, and you had to slide the whole thing into a player. It felt high-tech at the time, but there were problems from the start. The picture quality was not that great. It scratched easily, and even a little dust could mess up your movie. People expected better. Worse still, Video Home System and Betamax were already in homes, allowing recording, pausing, rewinding, and fast-forwarding. The Capacitance electronic disc could only play, nothing more. The Radio Corporation of America spent years developing it, but by the time it launched, the world had moved on. Sales were low, and the company discontinued it after just a few years. Great idea, wrong time.
With the new Atari Artist program and this simple little device, you draw here, and it comes out there. No typing and no programming.
Atari introduced the CX77 touch tablet in 1984. It was a drawing pad that let users create art on their television screens. The tablet came with a stylus and the Atari Artist software, offering 128 colors and various patterns. Users could draw, erase, and even trace images placed under a clear overlay. Despite its creative potential, the tablet didn't catch on. One major issue was the lack of additional software support. Beyond Atari Artist, there weren't many programs that utilized the tablet. This limited its functionality and appeal. Another issue was user interest. Most people used computers for games or basic tasks, and digital art was still new. Few saw the need for a drawing tablet, and it also required a separate program recorder to save artwork, adding complexity. The CX77 Touch tablet was ahead of its time. It offered a glimpse into digital creativity, but lacked the support and audience to succeed.
PC Junior from IBM, the computer that's growing by leaps and bounds.
IBM wanted to bring computers into people's homes. In 1984, they launched the P. It looked nice and had some cool features, but it didn't go well. The biggest issue was its keyboard. It was small and hard to type on. People even called it the chiclet keyboard because the keys looked like little gum pieces. It felt cheap and didn't match IBM's name. Another problem was compatibility. Many popular personal computer programs didn't work right on it. That confused users and made the PCJR hard to trust. It also cost too much for a home computer, especially one that didn't work like people expected. Buyers got frustrated fast. IBM tried to fix things, but the damage was done. Sales were bad. They stopped making it just over a year later. A strong name couldn't save a weak product. If you think IBM missed the mark, wait till you see what Kodak did with film in the next entry. Check this Kodak Disc 4000.
The Kodak Disc.
The Kodak Disc camera has automatic film advance. It's so fast you don't have to miss a leap, a flip, or a dip.
Kodak launched the Disc 4000 in 1982, hoping to change how people took photos. It was small, easy to carry, and simple to use. You just popped in a round disc of film and clicked away. At first, people liked the new style, but the photos told a different story. The images were fuzzy and dark. The tiny negatives on the disc couldn't capture clear details. That was a big letdown. Even though the camera looked modern, the picture quality ruined its chances. People didn't want to keep memories that looked bad. Photoshops also didn't love processing disc film. It added more hassle for them. Kodak pushed the idea for a while, but it never caught on. The Disc 4000 faded fast, and Kodak had to move on.
Maybe this computer's different.
Macintosh has the power to change the way you feel about computers.
Apple released the Macintosh Portable in 1989, hoping to start a new trend in portable computing. But at 16 pounds, it was far from easy to carry. While it had a full keyboard and a decent screen, users quickly ran into issues. The battery life was poor, and sometimes the computer wouldn't turn on unless the battery was fully charged. It also came with a high price tag. Most people couldn't afford it, and those who could felt it didn't offer enough value. Apple aimed to lead the portable market, but the product fell short. It was too heavy, too pricey, and didn't meet expectations.
Hold it. Do not buy your family a computer until you compare Atom, today's complete computer system, only $499.
Coleco released the Atom computer in 1983, hoping to turn its video game success into a home computer win. The plan looked good on paper. The system came with a printer, a word processor, and a digital data drive. It even worked with ColecoVision games, but things went wrong fast. Many units arrived dead right out of the box. Others broke within days. The printer, which powered the whole system, was loud and unreliable. If it failed, the computer wouldn't even start. Coleco rushed the release to catch the holiday season, but that rush led to sloppy hardware and angry buyers. Software support was weak too. People returned the machines and lost trust in the brand. Coleco hoped to enter the computer market strong, but the Atom's problems crushed that dream before it even began.
Ladies and gentlemen, behold, Colgate frozen lasagna.
In the 1980s, Colgate made a move no one saw coming. The toothpaste giant decided to launch its own frozen food line. One of the products was Colgate Lasagna. The idea behind it was simple. Colgate already had strong brand recognition. They thought people would trust their name on food too, but that trust didn't carry over. Consumers saw the Colgate label and thought of minty toothpaste, not a warm meal. The mix of food and hygiene branding was just too strange. Most people were put off immediately. They couldn't imagine eating something linked to brushing their teeth. The lasagna flopped hard. People didn't buy it, and stores didn't want to stock it. Colgate quickly pulled it from the market. It remains one of the strangest product choices ever. Now, let's talk about the McDLT, when McDonald's tried giving you homework along with your burger.
Did you hear about McDonald's new McDLT?
It could be the best tasting lettuce and tomato hamburger ever!
'Cause the hot stays hot and the cool stays cool.
The McDLT was McDonald's attempt to offer a fresher burger by keeping the hot and cold parts separate. Lettuce and tomato went on one side of a large styrofoam box, while the patty stayed on the other. Customers had to put it together themselves. While the taste was fine, the packaging caused problems. It was bulky, wasteful, and used a lot of styrofoam at a time when people were becoming more environmentally aware. Many didn't like the extra trash or the extra work. People wanted quick, ready-to-eat meals. not do-it-yourself burgers. The MacDLT quietly vanished and is now remembered mostly for its odd, wasteful design.
Lifesaver. This is Karen sucking her thumb, and this is her brother trying to get her to stop.
Lifesavers decided to turn their popular candy into a drink in the 1980s. The idea was to give fans the same sweet flavor in liquid form. On paper, it sounded fun and colorful. The company hoped that people would love sipping on a soda that tasted just like their favorite treat. But the reality didn't go so well. The soda was way too sweet. Most people found it hard to drink more than a few sips. What worked in candy didn't work in a drink. The flavor was too strong and didn't feel refreshing. Even with its bright branding and recognizable name, the product didn't catch on. Stores pulled it from shelves, and the company dropped the idea. It became another reminder that not everything sweet belongs in a bottle.
This cigarette will treat you to a smoke with a cleaner taste, a cleaner aroma, a cleaner feel. Premier, the cleaner smoke.
In the late 1980s, R.J. Reynolds spent millions to create a smokeless cigarette called Premier. Instead of burning tobacco, it heated it, aiming to offer a cleaner way to smoke. But smokers disliked it. The taste was poor, the feel was odd, and the smell wasn't pleasant. It also looked strange, making people uncomfortable using it in public. The company spent around $325 million on the project, but it failed quickly. Stores couldn't sell it, and users weren't interested. R.J. Reynolds pulled it from the market, losing a huge sum. Premier is now remembered as one of the costliest product failures in tobacco history.
Pepsi's got your taste for life.
In 1989, Pepsi thought people might want soda instead of coffee in the morning. So they made Pepsi AM, with more caffeine than regular Pepsi. It was made for people who didn't like coffee but still wanted a boost to start their day. The idea was bold, and the name sounded strong and energizing. But even with such a powerful name, it didn't work. Most people just weren't ready to drink soda with breakfast. It didn't taste much different either, so there wasn't a good reason to buy it. Pepsi AM faded fast and was quietly pulled from shelves. Next, let's look at one of the weirdest cars from the 1980s. Nissan's bold yet confusing Pulsar. Sportback.
Introducing the all-new 87 Nissan Pulsar NX.
Pulsar NX.
The Nissan Pulsar NX Sportback tried to be two cars in one. With its modular rear hatch, drivers could switch between a sporty coupe and a miniwagon. It was a bold, futuristic idea, but it didn't click with buyers. The design looked strange, and the extra cost for the Sportback option didn't help. People were confused by its purpose. Was it fun, practical, or both? Sales stayed low, and the model disappeared quickly. While it stood out, it became more of a novelty than a success. Nissan took a risk, but the market just wasn't ready for it.
Making gameplay like this possible simply by adding a computer keyboard.
Discover Intellivision. It can change your family.
In 1980, Mattel promised to turn its Intellivision game system into a full computer with the new keyboard component. It was packed with features like a tape drive, microphone, and extra memory. But things quickly went wrong. The product kept getting delayed and didn't hit test markets until late 1981. It finally launched in early 1982 in just a few cities for a high price of $600. Worse, it had almost no working software. Customers were upset, and the government started looking into it. By mid-1982, Mattel pulled it from stores and gave refunds. A big dream failed in just 2 years.
The DeLorean. Gull-wing doors rise effortlessly, beckoning you inside.
The DeLorean DMC-12 looked like something straight out of the future. It had stainless steel panels and cool gull-wing doors. When it appeared in the movie Back to the Future, it became a pop culture icon. But the real car was far from perfect. Its engine was weak, and its speed didn't match its sporty look. Drivers were let down by how it performed on the road. It also cost more than many better-performing cars. Inside, it didn't feel high-end or special. The company rushed production, and quality suffered. Sales stayed low. Fewer than 9,000 cars were made before the company went bankrupt. Even though the DMC-12 is still remembered today, it failed in the market. It was a car that looked amazing, but didn't drive that way. The dream was big, but the reality didn't match up.
The Sinclair C5, £399. Want to buy one? Want to see one? Or simply want to read all about it?
The Sinclair C5 was a small, one-person electric vehicle launched in 1985. It resembled a mix between a go-kart and a bike, powered by a regular battery. Designed as a cheap and clean way to get around town, it faced criticism for its strange appearance and a maximum speed of only 15 miles per hour. Its low profile made drivers feel unsafe, especially around larger cars, and poor weather protection added to the problems. Despite being an early attempt at electric transport, the vehicle failed to attract buyers, and the company ceased production after just 1 year. Coming up is a computer that wowed everyone with its power and graphics, but still couldn't survive. Let's talk about the rise and fall of the Amiga computers.
The Commodore Amiga 500, the future of computing for the home, personal education, creative applications, and the business environment.
The Amiga was one of the most advanced home computers of its time. Launched in 1985, it had amazing graphics, sound, and multitasking features that were perfect for games, animation, and video work. But the computers had problems that held them back. They lacked memory protection, so programs could crash easily. The early models needed multiple boot disks just to start, and software support was weak. Later versions, like the Amiga 600, removed useful features and confused buyers. While the Amiga had brilliant tech, it was often hard to use, underpowered, or unfinished. These flaws made people turn to simpler, more reliable personal computers.
You really feel the music with the Sony Walkman.
The Sony Walkman is a tiny stereo cassette player with truly incredible sound.
The Sony Walkman changed how people listened to music in the 1980s. It made music portable. You could clip it to your belt and listen on the go. It was a huge hit. Everyone wanted one. The sound was good and the design was cool, but Sony got stuck in the past. As the world moved toward digital music, the company hesitated. Other brands started making MP3 players. Then Apple launched the iPod and took over the market. Sony had the tech to compete, but it didn't act fast enough. Instead of leading the digital shift, Sony held on to old systems. Their music software was clunky and hard to use. By the time they reacted, it was too late. The Walkman lost its place in music history. The brand that once ruled portable music fell behind.
Introducing the RCA Video Disc Player, the extraordinary machine that plays records you watch on your TV.
The Radio Corporation of America, RCA, launched the video disc system in 1981, hoping to lead the future of home video. The system played movies on large vinyl-like discs using a special needle. It looked high-tech but had big problems. The discs were easy to scratch and got dirty fast. Worse, the system couldn't record or rewind like video home system tapes. Just months earlier, the video home system hit the market and quickly offered more convenience and better value. RCA didn't see the shift coming. Sales were poor, and by 1984, the video disc was gone. What was meant to be RCA's next big thing ended up helping sink the company.
I'd like the most popular home video game system ever.
Ah, the system you want is the Atari 2600.
The Atari 2600 was one of the first home video game consoles and became a huge success in the early 1980s. Games like Space Invaders and Pitfall made it very popular. But soon, things went wrong. Atari rushed to release bad games like E.T., which was confusing and hard to play. Pac-Man also looked and felt nothing like the arcade version. On top of that, too many companies made cheap, boring games. Stores were filled with junk, and people stopped buying. Atari lost trust and money fast. What started as a gaming revolution ended with failure and piles of unsold games buried in the ground. Think the ViewMaster was just for photos? In 1988, it tried to jump into gaming, and things got weird fast. In 1988, ViewMaster tried to bring television and video games together with the interactive vision. This video home system-based console let the kids watch shows with characters like The Muppets, Sesame Street, and Disney favorites, while using a joystick and buttons to make choices. It even had 2 soundtracks and interactive video overlays to give players the feeling they were part of the story. Sounds cool, right? But it was too limited. It needed a video cassette recorder, had clunky gameplay, and felt more like a toy than a real console. Competing systems like the Nintendo Entertainment System were miles ahead. Despite its fun idea, it didn't catch on and quickly faded from memory.
I'm Steve Jobs, and I make computers. It's called NextStation. It's a slab, monitor, keyboard, the mouse, the software.
After Steve Jobs left Apple, he introduced the Next computer in 1988. It looked futuristic and had powerful features like advanced graphics, a built-in digital signal processor, and Next Step software. It was meant for schools and researchers, but the $6,500 price tag made it too expensive. It also didn't support popular software, so few people bought it. Despite the failure, it made a mark. Tim Berners-Lee used a Next computer to create the first web browser. In the end, it was a great idea that didn't sell, becoming more of a tech legend than a market success.
To the greatest sports performance shoe in the world, the Reebok Pump. Pump up and air out.
Reebok launched the Pump shoes in 1989 to offer something new and high-tech. The sneakers had an inflatable system that let users pump air into the tongue for a custom fit. It was exciting and caught attention fast, especially after the National Basketball Association star Dee Brown wore them in a dunk contest. But the excitement didn't last. The shoes were expensive, and the pump feature didn't actually improve performance much. Competitors like Nike focused on real athletic performance, while Reebok's tech started to feel like a gimmick. Over time, interest faded, and the pump became more of a fashion memory than a success.
PXL 2000 video system. Now you can be seen and heard.
The PXL 2000 was a toy video camera released by Fisher-Price in 1987. It recorded grainy black and white footage onto standard cassette tapes. It seemed futuristic, especially for kids, and could even capture sound. But it had a big problem. It was expensive. Priced around $179, many parents skipped it. Kids didn't find much use for its low-quality video, and sales flopped. The product vanished after 1 year. Still, artists later rediscovered it for its gritty aesthetic. Indie filmmakers praised its strange, dreamlike video style. It became a niche cult favorite in film circles. But as a mass-market toy, it failed fast. High price, unclear purpose, and low appeal to children made it one of the most unusual flops of the 1980s. To close things out, let's look at one of the cheapest computers ever made and why it still failed.
Now, Timex brings the power of the computer within reach of more people than ever before. Introducing the Timex Sinclair 1000.
The Timex Sinclair 1000 was launched in 1982 as one of the most affordable home computers ever. Priced under $100, it aimed to bring computing to the masses. It featured a black and white display, 2 kilobytes of random access memory, a membrane keyboard, and used cassette tapes for programs. Despite the low price, it had many flaws. It was slow, limited, and hard to use. The keyboard frustrated users, and most useful software needed extra memory. Competitors like the Commodore 64 offered more power and better features. Even a 16-kilobyte version couldn't save it. Though it sold well at first, the computer quickly fell behind and faded from the market.